Hello, everybody. It's Daniel here, and this is our next Emotional English Podcast episode where we learn an English language effortlessly, emotionally, filled with energy, and of course, positively. Welcome, everybody. And I'm so sorry. I'm a little bit late today. This week, it's, if I'm not mistaken, today is Thursday. So it's not an official day of my podcast release, but this week I will announce and I will post another podcast episode on Sunday. Hope it will work. So let me discuss and let me tell you what is the topic for today. Today I have a beautiful topic about the greatest philosopher of all times. So it's his name is Plato. So who is Plato? Do you understand what I'm saying about the guy who is Plato? Plato was one of the students of Socrates, right? Socrates was a very, very smart man from ancient times, and Plato was his student. And do you know who was a student of Plato? It was Aristotle. But today, I want to discuss couple quotes, great quotes. It's going to be one of my favorite quotes in English from Plato. So we will hit two birds with one stone. It's a very good idiom when you discuss some kind of ideas and you are doing things simultaneously at the same moment. So you can hit two birds, or you can kill two birds with one stone. And I am gonna share some knowledge from Plato, my personal thoughts, and we will learn English with this, right? We will learn and we will discuss new vocabulary, which we'll find inside of these quotes. It's quite nice, isn't it? So let's begin. I've decided to change my podcast, podcast variety. So every single week we'll have a different discussion, different topic related to vocabulary learning, just concentrated vocabulary learning. We will discuss some topics of storytelling. So I will read a mini story. Then another topic is the discussion of different quotes, right? Beautiful people, beautiful quotes. We can discuss, we can think. Then the real English or practical English stories. It's going to be like something practical about time management, about business, about whatever I can find. Something like the topic we discussed previously about how to read books, right? So something practical, very connected with our world, right? And that's something what we're going to do, right? And I have another cool idea to read a book, the real book, and to read it chapter by chapter and posted on my podcast. And I think it's going to be pretty valuable for you guys. If you're on the same line with me, you would love it. If you're not, so you can skip these episodes. It's completely fine. You can find whatever you want, whatever you like on our podcast episodes, right? So if you would like to learn English and you want to learn an interesting content, so just find something you like. Right now, we have more than 100 episodes published already. So just scroll down and find something you like. If you like only my mini stories, that's good. Just fine. There are plenty of them. You can just listen one mini story after another. And I understand that you can be a beginner or pre-intermediate speaker or intermediate or upper intermediate or even advanced. So probably today's topic is more for advanced speakers and learners. But don't worry if you are the pre-intermediate guy or lady, and we can completely discuss these simplified versions of my comments, right? So I will read the comment or quote from Plato, and then I will simplify it, right? I will retell you the main idea, how I understand the quote. Of course, maybe I understand the quote in my own way, right? But it's one of the options what you can learn from this episode, right? So you can understand what I think about these 6 quotes of Plato, right? So we can start, shall we? We can start with the first quote, which I like very much, and let's dive in. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Very popular quote from Plato. Actually, these words are just copied from Socrates because we have no books about Socrates, and Plato was, I think, he was the second student who wrote something down about his teacher. Right? He jotted everything down about his teacher. He almost copied his philosophy. And we can see these beautiful quotes. I am the wisest man alive. It's like the most popular quote about Socrates and Plato. I know that I know nothing, right? This one. So I am the wisest man alive. So I think the Socrates is telling this, or Plato is telling this in the Republic. I think the Republic, it's the character there is Socrates, and he's saying, I'm the wisest man alive, for I know one thing. And that is that I know nothing. It means that even if you think you're a very smarty pants, right? If you are very smart, you think that you are super cool at the specific area or topic, you know what? This is a pretty big ignorance to believe in this concept, because probably you know nothing. It's just the beginning, right? So, and every master of karate or another martial art will tell you that every day when you learn something new, it's just the beginning. Even if you have a black belt, it doesn't matter, because the thing is, when you think that you're wise enough, wise means very smart. It's like smartness plus experience. When you think that you are wise enough for things, this very moment, it's just an illusion, right? It's just, you need to realize that you know nothing, because it's a new beginning. It's the new chance to understand something bigger. And when you live with this concept, you understand that this is an unstoppable journey of learning. You will never be super smart. There is no limit in English, in philosophy, in another part of life, right? It doesn't matter what you study right now, but there is no limit. And we live in the limitless world. Very good description. So limitless world, that's the place where we live in. And Plato said, I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing, right? So if you think that I'm very good at English, no, of course not. I have a terrible grammar. My pronunciation is pretty good, I know, but there are plenty of things I cannot do. For example, I cannot write messages in a cool way. I feel a big lack of vocab or a big lack of skill of writing. You know, writing, it's a specific art. You know, it's an art to write things down in a specific way. Of course, if I spend enough time on it, so I'll be pretty good, right? I can do some banal things, but to be honest, I'm just not very interested. I like to speak, and I can write, but I'm not I don't have a big proficiency there, okay? So I read one more time this quote, and then we jump to the next one. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. This is the quote from The Republic. The Republic. It's like the most popular book of Plato right now, about the government, about the greatest system of the government. It's like a little bit illusional, probably, right? It's impossible to make it work, but it is the concept which we can learn and we can use in our daily lives, right? So the second quote is pretty interesting too. What I find is very interesting. So it's about the next one. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. I will repeat this again for you guys. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. But the real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Okay? So this is very interesting, because First of all, I like how Plato used the word man, because man, in general, it means man and female together, So this is like the description, like human, We can replace this word with human. So let's try to simplify it with human here, because it can be about girl and about the boy as well. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when man or woman, human, are afraid of the light, right? So it's more understandable. It can be any living creature who is a human. So we can easily forgive a child. So what does mean forgiveness? When you are in trouble, right? For example, somebody said a swearing word to me and said, Danila, you are the M fuck word. Oh my goodness, F word, right? So something bad to me. Somebody said that I'm a weirdo, for example, or in a very bad way, right? With F words. So somebody sweared, right? Or gave me a swearing word. And then I can easily forgive that person if that person or this person is a child, because this person is really afraid of the dark, right? It means the case, what I think about this idiom, when somebody is kind of scared of something, it could be anything, right? It could be, let's say, you want to learn the new language. Let's imagine English, right? And the person is scared of this idea, right? Oh my goodness, I should to spend so much time, so much energy, right? And you can forgive this child because he's just not ready for the next step of evolution. And it's pretty forgivable. You can forgive this person. When the person is swearing, like I used an example first time, he is afraid of something great. He doesn't realize, or she doesn't realize, that the thing he is doing or she is doing is not very well. He doesn't, or she doesn't understand that the swearing word is something dark. Why should I be scared and why should I be angry at that person if this person is just on this state of evolution when he or she doesn't understand what is good and what is bad? So I can just accept his words and live without thinking of it, because I can just be more forgiving, right? I can forgive the person that he did something wrong. And of course, I'm doing this when the person is a child, right? It's the description of forgiveness. So I tried to explain you this idea. But the quote is not about what I've just said, right? It's a little bit deeper and it's harder to understand. Let's see. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. It's like the situation with something new, right? Or something what the person is scared of. This is like a darkness for the person. It's like an idiom. But the real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. And again, when you know that something what is scary is good for you, this is very bad, right? In the case of this situation, right? For example, if I want to jump from a cliff, this is not a very good action, right? Because, yeah, I want to, let's say, jump from a cliff to the water, and I'm scared of this action. And it's pretty forgivable, right? Because it's nothing great inside of this action. It's just your own egocentric idea. But the real tragedy of life in general, when the human is afraid or are afraid of, humans afraid of the good action, when something can transform their lives and the lives of people who are surrounding them. Does it make sense? So I'm trying to explain this idea in my own way. So you can forgive somebody. We can use the expression of a child, and this child is afraid of an action which is pretty scary, right? And this action can be a good action for everybody, or neutral, or bad. For example, the child can be scared to smoke a cigarette. It's a good scary, right? It's a good scary because if you're not smoking, you will be better, right? You will feel better in a long run, in a long perspective. But if you do something egocentric, it's pretty neutral for everybody, right? It's pretty forgivable. But if you do something which relates to everybody, let's say you create a content which can transform the lives of many, many, many men or people or ladies and guys, this is a very bad thing to be afraid of. Because when you're scared of transformations, and transformation not only for yourself, but for everybody who is surrounding you, this is very, very bad. Because you're losing the chance to make this life better. So that's what I think. Maybe this idiom is not, this quote is not about the idea what I've just said and explained to you, but it's just only my thoughts, right? How I see this, right? We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. We can easily forgive the child. But the real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. When you're scared of doing something good, this is very scary. But when you're afraid of bad things, it's completely forgivable. It's completely fine to be scared of doing something crazy, like doing drugs when you're a kid, doing smoke weed or something egocentric, right? Or even something bad like firing someone's house, or just making a bad action, right? This is pretty forgivable and it's pretty respectable, I would say, because it's not making life of everybody better, right? So this is making your life a little bit more extreme, a little more interesting for a moment, for this very moment, but nothing more. Maybe I'm not right. Maybe you have some better explanation of this quote, guys. Just let me know. What do you think, right? That's my thoughts. I don't remember where this quote is from. I just grabbed it from one of the websites. The next one is very interesting one. Ignorance is the root and stem of every evil. This is very, very important quote. And we can start with this beautiful expression of ignorance, right? What is ignorance? People who have a lot of ignorance, you call them ignorant people, right? Ignorant people. Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah. So ignorant people, they don't really care about things. They just, they never learn. They have a big lack of knowledge, and they, for sure, having some problems with understanding. And they think it's okay. And when you don't know something important, the bad thing can happen. That's what this quote is actually about. Ignorance, this lack, right, of knowledge or the specific information, it's the root and stem of every evil, right? Of every evil. What is the root? What is the root? Root, if you will imagine the tree, right? The tree, in the beginning of a tree, under the ground, the tree has roots, right? Powerful roots. If the tree is big, roots which are not very powerful. Probably it's the root for a smaller tree, right? But it's the beginning. It's the root of a tree, right? And ignorance, the lack of understanding or knowledge, it's the root and stem of every evil. Another word, what is stem? You can say it's like a main body of a plant, right? It's like the main part of a plant. Let's imagine the flower, or I don't know. It could be aloe vera, right? The stem, it's like this general thing, what they've got, where all the leaves are and all the things, right? It's a stem. And the root, the trees, they have roots, right? And if you are ignorant, if you don't understand something, if you are kind of misunderstood some concepts, so this is the root of every evil. So something bad happens after all, right? So this is that's what this quote is about ignorance, about lack of knowledge. It's good to have a lack of knowledge, to be ignorant when you learning things, right? Because you're transforming your state from ignorant state to the wise state, right? So you're combining experience and knowledge together, and you're becoming wiser, wiser, and wiser day after day. So you're trying to fight with your ignorance. You're trying to defeat your ignorance. You try to demolish your ignorance, and you're trying to make your root and stem very powerful, and you want to make it more grateful, right, for yourself and for everybody who surrounds you. And remember, the ignorance is the root and stem of every evil, every bad action related to ignorance. For example, right now we have two wars, right? Two wars. One war in Ukraine, right? And another war in Palestine, and this war, come on, what's this country? Jewish people, right? So I'm sorry, it's just not very well today. It's just on the media all over. Come on, this is, how do you call them? Jerusalem, right? God, I have this map in my mind right now. Let me check. Oh my goodness, I'm a stupid guy. What an ignorant man, you can say. What an ignorant man. 1 second, guys. We're in Israel, of course. Israelis, right? Okay. So Israelis, they have a big fight with Palestinians, right? Or Palestine. And that's a very bad situation, right? And what's led to this problem? Ignorance, the lack of understanding, the lack of communication, the lack of knowledge led to this evil to be happen, right? The same story with Ukrainians and Russians. This is the total ignorance which had happened. Every war, it's the reason of big ignorance from both sides, classically, or from one or another side. But I think it's both people are in charge, or groups are in charge of every problem, of every evil, okay? And evil, it's the opposite of good, right? When you see devils or demons, or you see imps, this is evil, this is bad. When you see angels, Jesus Christ, good people, Plato, this is very good. This is good people, okay? So ignorance, it's the root and stem of every evil. That's what the Plato said. It was this quote number 3. The next one, I love that one, by the way. I am trying to think. Don't confuse me with facts. This is a very interesting one. I am trying to think. Don't confuse me with facts. So when you're trying to think, you're trying to have your own position on things, right? And when somebody's saying that something has a specific fact, so it's destroying, it's demolishing your process of thinking. Because if you have a fact and you should believe in this, you don't need to think. Somebody's saying, okay, you know what? I know that we were on the moon, right? Like connecting with our previous topic, right? About Indians. And somebody said, Americans were on the moon. So this is a fact, people say. This is a fact. Oh, you cannot even think about this fact because it's proved by Americans. It's proved by the media, people say, right? But to be honest, this is all just the thought of a global conspiracy or the global elite who wants you to think, who wants you to believe that this was a fact. Of course, it's just my position, and you can believe in anything you want, but the problem is that when somebody is giving you facts from Google, Google, they give you some facts from the media, from Google search or from Wikipedia, you think it's over. You have all answers you want. And this stealing and leading you to ignorance, because you're not thinking with your own head or brain, you're thinking with the Google's head or Wikipedia's head. How bad is that? I think it's a total ignorance, and we should think bigger without using only facts. Maybe we should think with thoughts, like what if this is? Maybe we should be more, how you say that? Like kids, kids, they want to ask questions, right? They love it. They really love it. And I think we should be kids in this case, because when you have kids, they don't have facts. They ask things like why the water is blue, right? They're just curious. The curiosity. Out of curiosity, they ask so many questions and they want to really know what is going on, why things are things, right? And they don't need you to copy or copy paste Google. They want you just to tell or guess or whatever, because some questions are just not facted. So we don't have some facts in our life. For example, why we have dolphins, or why giraffe has that long neck? Why do we need so many animals? Can you answer me this question with a fact? I don't think so, because this is just your position or the position of the media or position of Google or a scientist. So it's not your own position. What do you think? Try to think. I'm trying to think. Don't confuse me with facts, Plato said. This is a very good quote. I love it so much. Okay, next one is pretty bigger. It's pretty bigger. It's from the Symposium. And I like this concept. It's a little bit religious, but maybe you will love it as well. It's about the general point of creation from ancient Greece. According to Greek mythology, humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and head with 2 faces. Fearing their power, Zeus split them into 2 separate parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves. What a beautiful quote. Let me just double check the word condemn. I don't remember. Do I need to pronounce this flat or no? Let me just give it a sec. Condemning. Yeah, we don't need to pronounce N, sorry. Condemning. Yeah, according to Greek mythology, I will read this again. According to Greek mythology, humans are originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and a head with 2 faces. Fearing their power, Zeus split them into 2 separate parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves. Okay, let's try to simplify it step by step, okay? So we have a Greek mythology, right? It's like ancient Greek books, right? Mythology, like the concepts of life of Greek people, right? And they believe these mythological books, they believed, or they showed us the knowledge that humans were, in the past, originally created with not 2 arms, but with 4 arms, right? With not 2 legs, but with 4 legs, and had with not 1, but 2 faces, right? The classic human has 2 feet, 2 arms, 2 legs, right? And 1 head with 1 face. But in Greek mythology, humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and head with 2 faces, not 1 face, 2 faces. And fearing their power, so you can be scared of this power. Just imagine the person who has 4 legs, 4 arms, very productive, and I don't know, it's just superpower and super powerful. And Zeus, it's like the god from ancient Greece, Zeus. He was very scared of this power. And what did he do? He was scared. He splitted them into 2 separate parts. Yeah, let me double check the word split. I don't remember. Is it, can I say splitted? I guess, yeah, splitted is possible, right? Yes. So, split it is fine. So yes, so this human form was split into two bodies with two hands, our normal, original, right? Look, what we have right now. And Zeus splitted humans, right? Zeus splitted humans into two separate parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves. So what does it mean, condemn? It means you want people and okay, let me double check. The Zeus, he was like criticizing people, right? So condemning, it's more like when you're making some arguments, you're condemning when you see something which you don't like. You say, hey, look, I disagree. I am condemning with this. So Zeus condemning people, humans with four legs and four arms and two faces, because he wants them to be in search of their other halves, right? That's how I understand this quote. Zeus split them into two separate parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves, right? Yes, he wanted them to be always in search of love of another half, right? This theory of halves, that you have man and woman, it's not but when woman and man connecting between each other, so they are creating the total balance, right? So this is what was the idea, but I don't know why, but Zeus splitted them into two separate parts, probably for a reason of evolution, of understanding, of realization of that power. If you're already created with two halves connected, this power is too big for an ignorant body. So, and while you're searching for another half, you're not that powerful, you're not that balanced, you have a lot of problems. And probably Zeus wanted people to reopen the power, right? To reopen this connection. And this is very beautiful. When Zeus splitting the body with four legs, with four arms, with two faces into two separated parts, two separated bodies, for a whole life, these two parts, for whole life, are in search of each other. They're trying to find their other halves, like a heart, which is kind of divided, and then you're trying to connect these two pieces of a heart. It's beautiful. This is the quote from Plato, the Symposium. That's the name of this work of Plato. Let's read it again, shall we? According to Greek mythology, humans were originally created with four arms, four legs, and a head with two faces. Fearing their power, Zeus split them into two separate parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves. Very beautiful. I love this quote because this quote gives you the meaning of life. If you are right now not in relationships, just think of it. You can improve your powers drastically just to be connected when you're connected with another half, with a girl or a boy. So, but now what I see, the government or the society is promoting the idea of a child-free relationship, relationships only for fun or greed. This is terrible. I think it's called ignorance. This is the total ignorance. We have a lack of knowledge how to find our second part or half. Okay. And last but not least, the sixth quote from Plato is very interesting. And I want to conclude. I want to finalize my today's episode with this quote. Those who tell the stories rule society. I would say the society, right? Those who tell the stories rule the society. Beautiful quote. Just imagine, I can think of this quote in a two ways, right? The way number one, those who tell the stories, they have better result. They have better influence. They rely and they can use this power in a very efficient way because the story has a picture. When you're transmitting or streaming the picture to someone, it's more understandable, isn't it? And who is more trustworthy? The person who is giving you the picture of his idea or the person who is giving you just the facts and words which you don't understand? Of course, the person who tells you the story is bigger influencer, isn't it? Because he can explain you hard things in a simple manner with a picture. And you understand things clearly, vividly, isn't it? That's what I think. And the second way of this, those who tell the stories rule the society. The second explanation is the person who speaks, right? The person who speaks, he is controlling you. We have in our society two groups. One group is creating the content, another group is consuming the content, right? So who is controlling whom? The person who consume or the person who create? Listen, I don't want to manipulate your minds right now, right? But this is the truth. Somebody is creating the content and you're consuming it, and somebody is just consuming something and using what they think is correct, what they think is good, what they see, okay? If I am an evil man who want you to fail or to face degradation in your own way, I would promote some negative ideas and I would change your lives. And if you would continuously listening my podcasts and getting worse and worse and worse, I would influence. I would change your life in a negative way. But I decided to do another way, right? I decided to use this podcast to transform your English evolution in a good way, and I hope it works nicely. That's my second idea of this quote. Those who tell the stories, who influences, they rule the society. They are the creators. They are transforming the society. Maybe in a small way, maybe in a simple way. It depends on your influence and depends on your subscribers, how many subscribers you have. But it is the truth. Those who tell the stories rule the society. Now I will finalize my podcast with reading of all these six quotes from Plato. And you just listen carefully and then try to understand what these quotes are about. Maybe on your own way, maybe on the way you understand this, but try to listen carefully, try to feel it, try to see the picture. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Second one, we can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Ignorance is the root and stem of every evil. I'm trying to think. Don't confuse me with facts. According to Greek mythology, humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and a head with 2 faces. Fearing their power, Zeus split them into 2 separated parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves. Those who tell the stories rule the society. All right. That's all for today, guys. Thank you all. I hug you all. I kiss you all. Thank you for being with us today. And I'll see you very soon. This Sunday, I will post another episode of our Emotional English podcast. And we will talk about new vocabulary. I will give you some vocab, some lexics, right? And then we'll discuss it in a real-time situations and we will learn something new. So thank you all for being with me, and I see you very soon. Have fun with your English, be cool, be satisfied with your learning process, and of course, enjoy your journey of English. Thank you all, and I see you soon. Bye bye.